Hey there, Seahawks fans. Thank you all so much for clicking on this video, and we are about to dive into the rumors and injury news around Seattle. But before we do, if you haven't already, please subscribe. This is the fastest growing YouTube channel in chat sports history and the fastest growing Seahawks channel out there. So if you want more updates on Seahawks game previews, post-game reactions, all of that, hit that big red button and subscribe today. As promised, a lot of injury notes to get into because the Seahawks are just cursed with injuries this year. We're going to begin with the surprising one. Tyler Lockett is apparently fighting through a knee sprain right now for the Seahawks. He appeared on the Seahawks' estimated injury report on Monday with that knee issue. Quick note on the estimated injury report. Seahawks did not actually practice on Monday because they're coming off a game where they did put out the expectation about if players would be out or limited, and Lockett appeared as out. However, Pete Carroll didn't seem very concerned. Lockett already had the MRI, didn't reveal anything major. He's been very good this season at playing football. He continues to be, I still think, one of the more underrated receivers in the NFL. Right around the time he was finally getting the respect he deserves, this guy named DK Metcalf steps up and says, actually, you know what? I am the number one receiver on this Seahawks team. Lockett, though, was good against the Rams. He was one of the most reliable receivers. 5 catches, 66 yards, touchdowns have kind of faded away the past couple of games, but he's still awesome, and he's still an instrumental part of this Seahawks offense, and they need him out there. So we will monitor this up to the Thursday night game. More on that game coming up here in just a second. But I think Lockett's going to be okay, although my guessing about Seahawks injuries has not gone according to plan so far this year. Speaking of the injuries, who else is just tired of them? There have been so many injury problems for Seattle. I mean, at one point this year, almost the entire secondary has been banged up. If you are tired of all of the injuries, if you just want it to stop, and for the Seahawks team just to be healthy for once, the O-line, the secondary, the defensive line, even the linebackers have been a bit banged up. If that's you, I want you guys to type in me in the comment section. Should I get thousands of views on this videos? I should see thousands of me's in there because we should all be pretty darn tired of it. Speaking of Week 11 here coming up, Thursday Night Football, the Seahawks are a 3-point favorite. That line, of course, is subject to change. Now, Seattle did not cover against the Rams, but you know what? If you are a new BetUS customer, if you sign up and deposit today or tomorrow or before kickoff, we're going to bring back the bet cover deal. We're going to double down on it. If the Seahawks don't cover against the Arizona Cardinals and you've signed up and deposited with BetUS and you are a new customer who didn't do last week's bet, if they don't cover, I will Venmo you up to $50. I'll cover your losses there. Email us, Seahawks@chatsports.com. We're still working through the Vikings bet cover ones as well, so don't panic if you haven't gotten an email back yet. But email us, Seahawks@chatsports.com, if you guys want to get in on that deal. Again, new BetUS customers only, so head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code that you see there, or you will see in a second, Seahawks125. Only for new BetUS customers, up to $50 for the loss cover there. There it is, bottom of your screen. Now, Shaquill Griffin here. Look, Pete Carroll had no update on Griffin's return on Monday. Has a concussion and hamstring injury. The Seahawks miss him, and they also miss Quinton Dunbar, who also had no update in terms of what Pete Carroll had to say on Monday. Dunbar's play plummeted amid his knee injury. Seems like Griffin is closer to a return than Dunbar, but, man, they are just really banged up right now. Look, Nico Thorpe has been a special teams guy. DJ Reed has been kind of a nickel, and now he's playing outside corner. So if Dunbar and Griffin can't go again, which I think seems pretty likely, your corners for Seattle are going to be Trey Flowers, DJ Reed, Nugo Amadi, and Nico Thorpe, by the way, he apparently is going to miss some significant time with his own injury. Now, he was mostly a special teamer, but the hits just keep on coming in the secondary. So, look, Griffin probably going to be out. Dunbar probably going to be out. That leaves Seattle oh so thin in the secondary, and that is very concerning for a team that, hey, we just watched Arizona, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins line them up. God, who's going to cover DeAndre Hopkins? Trey Flowers? Oh, that's not going to go well. So what's your panic level over the defense right now? They were better against the Rams, whose offense has not been very good this year, but hey, you know what? They were better at least. Rate this for me on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video, so get your votes in. 1 the lowest, 10 the highest. There was also a report that came out, I believe it was Sunday morning, from Dan Quinn, or from CBS Sports, about Dan Quinn, that the Seahawks have interest in bringing back Quinn. Now, as we know and discussed many a time on the show, Ken Norton remains on the hot seat. This does come from Jason Lockett, who's not very good at his job, but he also threw in Gus Bradley as a potential option for Seattle in the event that the Chargers kind of blow up their coaching staff, which I found curious. They also kind of implied Bradley was the head coach, which is wrong. He's the DC, but whatever. It's Jason Lockett. He's not great. But there's a lot of logic here behind this, because this Seahawks defense, and injury, like we just discussed, a huge problem here, and a big reason why the defense has struggled, especially as of late. It's bad. 28th in points per game allowed, dead last in passing yards and total yards. Yeah, the run defense has been good, but that's because you can throw it all over against Seattle. Why run it? Takeaways have been awesome. That's been the saving grace for this team, but this defense has not lived up to expectations, even with all of the injuries. So let's say you could have your hypothetical pick here between Dan Quinn and Gus Bradley, two former Seahawks defensive coordinators. Who would you rather bring back, in theory, of course, to replace Ken Norton? Type DQ for Dan Quinn or type in GB for Gus Bradley. Let's talk Russell Wilson now, who was the MVP favorite and now is not. Pete Carroll on Monday said he wanted to get some more balance, and on one hand I get that, because after a blistering start to the season, Russell Wilson has very much cooled off, and the Seahawks have been down to backups at the RB spot. I think that's a factor as well. Overall this year, Russell Wilson is still in the mix for MVP. These numbers are impressive. Almost 70% completion, almost at the 3,000-yard mark, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. The problem is the past 4 games for Russ have been concerning. First 5 games, 73%, over 1,500 yards, 19-3 was the touchdown to interception ratio. Everything has dropped since then, although the yards are staying at a pretty even pace. But the TD to interception ratio drastically going in the wrong direction. First 5 games, MVP lock. Last 4 games, that's not the Russ we know. And I don't want to blame everything on Russell Wilson. The defense has been bad, and at a certain point, you know your quarterback is good. You don't want to blame the quarterback because the defense can't stop a nosebleed in most games. But this past game, I think I'm going to put some more blame there on the shoulders of Russell Wilson. But do you blame him overall? I still say no, but get your votes in. Y for yes, N for no. Are Seattle's issues Wilson's fault? I don't think so, but I want to hear from you guys. Let's talk running backs now here. Chris Carson is the first one up here, and then we'll talk Carlos Hyde here. Remember, Adam Schefter on Sunday, and we put this in a video as well on Sunday, that Carson should be back for Week 11. Pete Carroll, however, he didn't sound so sure on Monday. In fact, in a bit of a surprise twist, Pete Carroll said that it appears Carlos Hyde is closer to a return. Now, Hyde coming off his hamstring injury, Carson coming off of a midfoot sprain. That's a bit of an unexpected development and change, but I do think getting back just one of these backs would be a nice little boost for the Seahawks offense. Now, make no mistake, Chris Carson is the better runner. I think the numbers here very much bear that out. But Seattle's been trying to get by with Alex Collins and DJ Dallas, and oh, by the way, now Travis Homer is a little bit banged up as well because the injuries just keep coming for Seattle. But getting back Hyde or Carson would be a big boost. I guess we'll find out on Thursday as to which back, if any, return in time. If this was Sunday, maybe you'd have both, but that shortened window of return makes things tricky. So shoot your shot for me in the comments section. Who gets back first for Seattle? If you had asked me this yesterday, I would have been like, oh yeah, or I should say on Sunday, I'd be like, oh yeah, Chris Carson. Now I'm not so sure. So get your votes in. C for Chris Carson or type in H for Carlos Hyde. More injury notes because there are just so many injury problems for this Seahawks team. Are the Seahawks going to have a center for Thursday? Ethan Posick still in concussion protocol. Maybe he gets out sooner than expected. Backup Kyle Fuller, by the way, now has an ankle injury. Pete Carroll said, and I quote, "We think he can make it back." Dangerous using the word think about your backup center. And by the way, Jamarco Jones is the planned number 3 center. I don't know if Phil Haynes, another backup interior offensive lineman who has had some reps briefly at center before, I don't know if he's going to be ready, if he's going to be back from IR. So This offensive line that's already decimated by injuries, we'll see if Mike Iupati is able to play, but his backup, Jordan Simmons, wasn't really right in the game. He's banged up right now. So I think Iupati would play, but they've been rotating in Jamarco Jones for a series or two almost every game, or Simmons almost every game. That's concerning, especially in light of the way this offensive line played against the LA Rams. Now, I do want to make a very important note here as we go through all of the pressures allowed. Russell Wilson was blamed for 4 sacks and 8 total pressures against the Rams, this is all from Pro Football Focus, by the way, basically saying, yeah, Wilson held the ball too long. But the offensive line overall allowed a ridiculous amount of pressures. We'll go back to that list there because I want to read them off real quickly. Damian Lewis allowed 5. Kyle Fuller, a significant amount allowed at center. You don't normally see 5 centers there. That's a massive amount. Brandon Shell allowed 3. So, again, the right side of the line didn't fare very well. Then the left side, Mike Iupati and Jamarco Jones rotated. Mike Iupati allowed 3. I am concerned that Jamarco Jones allowed 2 and a sack, by the way, because he had 13 pass block snaps. That's a massive figure for that limited amount. Dwayne Brown played well. That's about it, but that's always kind of par for the case there, or par for the course, excuse me. So I think Seattle will be okay. Arizona not quite as good up front as the Rams are, but this will have to be monitored. We'll see if Kyle Fuller can go. If not, a third-string center is kind of concerning for the Seahawks' already issue-prone offensive line.